All right, we can start now. Who is the master ceremony, please?
Yes, sir. Albert Zent rightly said, research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. A very good morning, everyone. Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya Fraternity feels privileged to welcome Honorable Chief Guest on the occasion, Mr. Rajan Gupta, Guest of Honor, Mr. Mohan Kamath, Honorable Chancellor Shri Purushottam Das Ji Pasari, Honorable Vice Chancellor and Conference Patron, Dr. Upinder Dhar, respected Conference Convener, Dr. Santosh Dhar, Honorary Secretary, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Trust, Shri Kamal Narayan Guradia, Conference Coordinator, Dr. Rishu Roy, respected dignitaries, directors, head of the institutes and departments of constituent institutions of university, delegates, colleagues, and all students who are attending the conference on digital platform. A warm welcome to Navprabandhan, a virtual conference on management innovations, opportunities and challenges for sustainable development. To mark the beginning of the conference, let's invoke blessings of Goddess Saraswati through virtual lamp lighting. Thank you, sir. We are honored by the gracious presence of Mr. Rajan Datta, Managing Director, Extrops Consulting, Mumbai, as the chief guest, and Mr. Mohan Kamath, Founder and Director, Skillmart, Mumbai, as the guest of honor. May I request Honorable Chancellor and Vice Chancellor to extend a virtual welcome to Mr. Datta and Mr. Mohan Kamath. Thank you, sir. Sri Vaishnav School of Management organizes Navprabandhan Management Conference every year under the flagship of Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya. To know about the objectives of organizing Navprabandhan, may I now have the pleasure of inviting respected Conference Convener and Dean, Faculty of Doctoral Studies and Research, Dr. Santosh Dhar, for her remarks.
Thank you, Namrata. Chief guest on the occasion, Rajan Datta, Managing Director, Extrops Consulting, Mumbai. Guest of honor, Mohan Kamath, Director, Skillmart, Mumbai. Honorable Chancellor of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Purushottam Das Ji Pasari. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Dr. Upinder Dhar. Honorary Secretary of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Trust, Shri Kamal Narayan Guradia. Resource person of the plenary session, Coordinator Navprabandhan Dr. Rishu Roy, invited guests, HOIs of the Constant Institutes of the University, faculty of Sri Vaishnav School of Management and other institutes, delegates, students from various institutes, media personnel, a warm welcome to Navprabandhan, the management conference on the theme Management Innovations, Opportunities and Challenges for Sustainable Development. Over the past decade, organizations have become increasingly aware of the social and environmental pressures facing business. Many management scholars and consultants have argued that these new demands offer many opportunities for progressive organizations. And innovation is one of the primary means by which organizations can achieve sustainable growth. Organizations that ignore these pressures are at risk of their own peril. The reality is that organizations have had considerable difficulty dealing with sustainable development pressures. In particular, their innovation strategies are often inadequate to accommodate the highly complex and uncertain nature of new demands. A strategy that integrates both the goals of innovation and sustainable development is need of the hour. In contrast to conventional market-driven innovation, sustainable development innovation must incorporate the added constraints of social and environmental pressures, as well as in consideration and also consider the future generations. Innovation for sustainable development is therefore usually more complex and ambiguous because of the wide range of stakeholders and their contradictory demands. Sustainable development creates needs, but how can organizations draw advantage? The traditional approaches to innovation have generally focused on narrow range of stakeholders like suppliers, customers, investors, and regulators. In contrast, innovation for sustainable development has to consider the wide range of secondary stakeholders, including safety advocates, local communities, activists for various causes like environmental issues. Identifying and dealing with these parties may not be straightforward, and their concerns often involve their perception of innovation's impact on society. Thus, radical technologies are too risky, whereas incremental ones can be based on well understood science and are less likely to generate controversy. Sustainable development innovations builds on traditional approaches for managing innovation as it recognizes the disruptive potential of secondary stakeholders. An appreciation for ambiguous demands enables organizations to develop more effective sustainable development capabilities while integrating the demands of various groups. It is also advocated that radical new technologies, products, processes, business models, and environmental innovations can change the present unsustainable industrial patterns. Competency enhancing incremental innovation is insufficient to meet sustainable development pressures. Instead, competency destroying radical innovation is need of the hour to create new capabilities that will ultimately challenge current business practices, as the current approaches for managing innovation are insufficient to deal with the traditional additional demands of sustainable development. Sustainable development needs draw attention towards new possibilities, but also generate new risks. Paradox needs to be addressed simultaneously. Navprabandhan, this one-day conference is aimed at to deliberate upon the emerging issues of innovation for sustainable development. During this conference, we have the plenary session followed by 3 concurrent technical sessions. The scholarly participation of the practitioners and the academicians, the exchange and sharing of the experiences, and the discussion on the practical challenges encountered and the solutions that have been adopted and are likely to be adopted will open up an array of queries and food for our thought. Navansh, a souvenir will be released, which gives an overview of the papers to be presented during technical sessions. With these words, I once again extend warm welcome to guests. I am sure that this conference will have answers to many of the queries and will have more queries to ponder upon. Wishing all a fruitful learning. Thank you. Over to Namrata.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Dr. Upinder Dhar, Conference Patron and Honorable Vice Chancellor, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, to deliver the welcome address.
Chief guest on this occasion, Mr. Rajan Datta, guest of honor, Mr. Mohan Kamath, Honorable Chancellor of the University, Shri Purushottam Das Ji Pasari, Honorary Secretary of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Trust, Shri Kamal Narayan Ji Buradia, all directors, invited resource persons, delegates, and my dear young friends. At the outset, I would like to welcome all of you on this annual event that has been happening for a number of years now. The theme of the conference is very apt because today, not only in India, but across the world, people are concerned about how to achieve the sustainable development goals by 2030. That is the target set by the United Nations. In 1925, Mahatma Gandhi famously included science without humanity and knowledge without character, along with politics without principles and commerce without morality, in listing 7 social sins. The terminology that he used was social sins. Today we can see these social sins of so-called modernity as central to unsustainability, ranging from climate disruptions and toxic waste to rampant inequality and poverty. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, what we call SDGs, are arguably the most comprehensive modern attempt to tackle unsustainability challenges. Yet it remains to be seen if they can deliver the ambitious transformations in science, technology, politics, and commerce needed to avoid reproducing Gandhi's compellingly diagnosed syndromes and so achieve genuine sustainability. So therefore, if we looked at it in a broader sense, say innovation management. Innovation management is a focal point for many businesses today. If it is not a priority for your business, your risk stagnant product offerings and may succumb to the ever-present threat of disruption. While every company may have great ideas, only those organizations with a strategy and effective leadership can turn those concepts into business growth and success. In this environment today, innovation management is understood to have greater importance for managing the ideas. See, when we refer to innovation management or an innovation management system, we are referring to the process of managing new ideas from ideation That is from beginning, when the idea is precipitated. From ideation to taking action and making them become a reality. So that is what is important. Simply having ideas is not enough, but taking those ideas to application, which results into innovation, is what is important. And this approach has 4 distinct steps. Unless we take those 4 distinct steps, idea cannot become a reality. First is generating the ideas. Say generating, how does it happen? Brainstorming. By brainstorming and employee input to uncover hidden concepts. So brainstorming is necessary. Unless we think, ideas won't come. Ideas won't come just by sitting. So one has to brainstorm, one has to think, one has to take the employees into confidence. Second, capturing. That means recording ideas in a way that is easily shareable with key stakeholders. See, once first step is over, that is, we have generated certain ideas. But then unless concerned stakeholders capture it, purpose won't be served. So second step is capturing. That means we have to put those ideas in such a way that all the stakeholders could draw meaning out of it. So stakeholders should see meaning in it. Unless meaning is drawn, it won't work. Then the third stage is evaluating, which refers to discussing and criticizing. No harm in constructive criticism. Discussing and criticizing innovative ideas to see if they fit your needs. So simply having an idea and just rushing to apply it, no, we need to evaluate. In between there has to be evaluation so that we see whether the idea that we have is applicable to our organization or not. Then the fourth stage, the last stage, is prioritizing, which refers to deciding which innovative ideas will be executed to maximize time and other resources in the company. So prioritization is equally important. Therefore, these 4 steps need to be followed necessarily, starting from generating to capturing to evaluating and finally prioritizing. Innovation management informs and is informed by high-level business targets that generate significant value for the company or for the organization. Certain actions and practices will result from the innovation itself, just as innovation will follow as a response to the business vision and problems that arise. In order to implement effective innovation management processes, one needs to have excellent communication between employees at all levels. At all levels is important. Simply having communication with the people at the top level is not enough, or with the middle management is not enough. So all people need to be taken into confidence, and a collaborative environment is required to uncover additional innovative ideas. In many organizations, there is a culture of having idea bank. So everybody is given freedom to contribute to the idea bank. So involvement of all the people in the organization is necessary. Companies that don't innovate will inevitably die. See, this is important to remember, that companies or the organizations, I'm saying organizations because it includes non-business organizations also. So organizations that don't innovate will inevitably die. As we know, we have great examples. Say Kodak. Where is it today? It is not there because they were complacent that we are the leaders. So they didn't innovate. So innovation is necessary. The company may be very large, multinational, but if they don't innovate, it will have no future. So companies or organizations that don't innovate will inevitably die, just like say Blockbuster, or say Borders, or Polaroid and Kodak. Note that these aren't mom and pop stores or early stage startups. They are giant brands that had a wealth of resources, and they once dominated their industries. So they were not small organizations, okay, they died, they didn't have resources. No, they were all resource rich and were leaders in their respective industries. But then why did they vanish? They vanished because they didn't innovate. If brands like these can die from a lack of innovation, then any company can. Just innovation alone is not, I'm not saying that only innovation is required. Innovation alone is not sufficient. It requires a collaborative culture that encourages employees to put forward great ideas and supports those with an entrepreneurial spirit. That means, well, innovation is a must, but then it is not only innovation that will do some miracle. We have to create simultaneously the culture that would support it, that would give it a push. Otherwise, employees have little incentive to speak and offer their insights, whether they are in the trench or a higher level management position. So unless we have that collaborative culture, unless we involve employees, we involve people won't speak. Therefore, we need to involve them. That culture or collaborative culture is very much required. By managing and encouraging innovation, one can discover new products, reduce costs, and enhance the development process significantly. These are the advantages. If we are able to do it successfully, if we are able to do it effectively, then what organization going to get? Organizations will discover new products, reduce costs, and enhance development process significantly. These are the advantages. That's why innovation. Organizations that don't embrace innovation management, organizations that do not embrace management innovation also risk bringing outdated solutions to their market. This limits the ability to stay ahead of the competition. Blockbuster failed to promote innovation. Instead of relying on their outdated model of in-store rentals and purchases for movies and video games, Netflix was able to, today we talk about Netflix. Netflix was able to disrupt Blockbuster. Why this Blockbuster vanished? It was disrupted by Netflix. How? By first offering DVDs shipped directly to the customer's door. Soon after, Netflix pivoted once again by providing digital streaming for a large catalog of entertainment options. Today, even, in fact, our youngsters, our children are ahead of us. They know more about Netflix than what we do. Why? Because Netflix has been able to crack the market and reach the customer directly because of the innovations. By ignoring the industry's inevitable evolution, Blockbuster dug its own grave despite having all the resources it needed to retain its dominant market position. This is how innovation makes the difference. There are 4 key pillars. As we gather, as we know, if we look into the literature, there are 4 key pillars to innovation management. And these pillars, the 4 pillars, need to be paid attention. 1, competency. 2, structure. 3, culture. And the last is the strategy. competency, structure, culture, and strategy. These 4 pillars need to be paid attention by every organization. If we don't pay attention, innovation may not happen. So I have just mentioned what happened to Blockbuster. As any new idea can be reviewed as innovation, it helps to have these pillars in mind to stay organized. They say when we generate ideas, we are having, that's what is creativity. We are creating the ideas. Idea generation is not the end. Innovation happens only when it is applied, when ideas are applied. But then can every idea result into innovation? No, not at all. That's why I mentioned evaluation is important. But while we are having this movement from first stage to fourth stage, these 4 pillars need to be paid attention: competency, structure, culture, and strategy. Say, if we talk about competency first, the core competencies are the things a company does best internally, as well as better than the competition or the competitors. However, doing something well does not mean that it is important, because your competencies may not always align with your market's wants and needs. So here is a caution. If we are doing something very well, we cannot afford to be complacent. We cannot take things for granted, because market wants and needs change. Therefore, an organization has to be in tune with the market. So accordingly, as per the needs and demand of the market, one has to tune. One has to tune its competencies. So competencies have also to be upgraded continuously. In terms of innovation management, it is helpful to distinguish employees' competencies from those of the organization at large. Your employees may have one-off competencies that apply in narrow contexts. In contrast, your organizational core competency revolves around its ability to direct and organize these capabilities around a market solution. So when we are assessing our own competencies, when we are assessing the competencies of our own people, that assessment has to be with reference to the market scenario. It can't be in isolation. Today, our competencies may give a good fit for the existing market, but tomorrow it may not. Therefore, we have to keep the upcoming market in mind. Therefore, for organizational competency, you should look for the following abilities. 1, working with external partners and stakeholders. 2, maximizing the value of your current resources. 3, setting concrete long-term and short-term goals. Very essential. Setting concrete, very specific, concrete long-term and short-term goals. And finally, strategic management systems to achieve goals and review progress. We need to review the progress. Progress cannot be simply celebrated. Well, progress should be celebrated, success should be celebrated, but then we need to work on it further. That is, we need to review it. Review of progress is equally important. As celebration is important, at the same time, reviewing is equally important. It helps to have someone within the organization that already has experience with innovation management. However, with the right mindset and focus on improving your company's competencies in this area, you can turn it into a major strength. So first pillar is competency, which needs to be paid attention. Second is structure. Whereas competency has to do mainly with capability, all of us know, structure refers to the systems and business processes. Structure refers to the systems and business processes present within the organization. Innovation control is essential. So in other words, that control is necessary. Simply, we need not to grab the idea and jump on it. Control is also essential. And the structure is what makes it possible. How is it possible? You may be very, by nature, very impulsive. Then how to control it? It is the structure that takes care of it. It's the system, the structure that takes care of it. The right structure is greater than the sum of its parts. Right structure is greater than the sum of its parts. It can empower your organization to operate more efficiently and produce more powerful ideas. That is the importance of structure. For instance, if management treats employee ideas as if the employees were proposing a significant wholesale change all at once, the managers may be skeptical and dismissive. Such an attitude would mean many ideas may never be heard, or they will be rejected without a fair hearing. So we need to pay attention. And that what ensures that attention? It is the structure. The fewer barriers between an innovative idea and your core customers, the better. Innovations are, by definition, rule breakers. That is, departing from the traditional ways your organization does things. So therefore, if we are deviating from what we have been doing for years, it may create a problem. But then what will take care of it? What is the defense mechanism here? It is structure. Structure takes care. So healthier structure, there's a robust structure, robust system will take care of it. Third is culture. When it comes to managing innovation, your culture will either magnify your success or severely detract from it. The right culture attracts and maintains innovators, whereas the wrong culture turns them away. So this is the power of culture. That's why culture is important. Even right innovation, good idea may die because culture doesn't support it. And the bad idea may be promoted, in which ultimately leads to devastation. That may be again because of the culture. So culture is an important element. It's an important, that's why we consider it a pillar. Competency, structure, and then culture. Culture is also a pillar. The first key in promoting a pro-innovation culture is how you encourage specific behavior while discouraging other behaviors. Behaviors and cultural aspects that did innovation include: 1, the best idea wins. 2, speed to market. 3, ongoing learning. 4, failure as part of the process. These are certain elements which give rise to a culture that supports innovation. So the best idea wins, so we have to support it. Speed to market, ongoing learning, and failure as part of the process. I will not elaborate on them because they are, I think, self-explanatory. Finally, last pillar is strategy. In short, your strategy is the long-term planning you have in place for your organization to reach your financial and other goals. So what is our long-term planning? What do we ultimately want to get? There comes the role of strategy. With the right strategy, you can launch new ideas with confidence and select the right path forward from several options. Without a clear strategy, you risk running in circles or pursuing concepts or campaigns that don't serve the company over the long run. So strategy has to be done. Strategy is to be, that's why we say formulation. Strategy needs to be formulated very carefully. Strategy formulation is very important. So it has to be, because basically it is planning. So it has to be done well planned in a way. A lot of thought must go into it. Strategy also involves resource allocation, and it should inform innovation management process based on your available resources. This allocation may change over time as you shift more or less resources toward developing new ideas. Now, not taking further time, we know we may go for open innovation, we may go for radical innovation, we may go for incremental innovation, so on and so forth. We may even today what has become important because of these SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, we have started talking in terms of sustaining innovation. See, sustenance of the innovation is equally important now. So innovation cannot be just, we have done it and then forget about it. It must sustain. So we have to give time for the innovation to bring profits to the organization, bring prosperity to the organization. Therefore, it is a very apt topic for the conference, and this all over the world we are talking about SDGs today, and innovation has become a very important area for continuity and sustainability. Sustainability can be ensured if we innovate. So with these words, I am very happy to welcome the guests once again to this annual conference, and I am sure that we'll be richer in our ideas, we'll be richer in our understanding by the time this conference is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your thought-provoking address and sharing the 4 pillars: competency, structure, culture, and strategy, not only sustain, but to lead. Thank you once again. Sri Vaishnav Group of Institutions has a proud legacy of 138 years. To know more about the group, may I now invite Sri Purushottam Das Ji Pasari, Honorable Chancellor, Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, to bless us with his pearls of wisdom.
नमस्कार। कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि आदरणीय श्री राजन दत्ता जी, सम्मानीय अतिथि आदरणीय श्री मोहन कामत जी, श्री सचिव वैष्णव विद्यापीठ ट्रस्ट श्री कमल नारायण जी भुरारिया, माननीय कुलपति श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय डॉक्टर उपिंदर धर, श्री वैष्णव शैक्षणिक एवं पारमार्थिक न्यास के समस्त न्यातिगण, समन्वयक डॉक्टर संतोष धर, कॉन्फ्रेंस संयोजक नवप्रबंधन 2021 एंड 22, सभी संस्थानों और विभागों के प्रमुख और सभी विशिष्ट प्रतिभागी जो इस ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म के माध्यम से हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं, सभी को हार्दिक सुप्रभात एवं कार्यक्रम की शुभकामनाएं। विशेष रूप से हमारे मुख्य अतिथि श्री राजन दत्ता जी एवं श्री मोहन कामत जी का इस अवसर पर स्वागत अभिनंदन करता हूं। इस कार्यक्रम में आकर उन्होंने हमारी संस्था का गौरव बढ़ाया है। बंधुओं, श्री वैष्णव ट्रस्ट एवं इसकी सहयोगी संस्थाओं ने गत 138 वर्षों से इंदौर शहर में नर सेवा नारायण सेवा मंत्र को आधार मानकर जन सेवा और जन कल्याण के अनेक प्रकल्प संचालित किए हैं। वर्ष 1884 में इंदौर के वस्त्र व्यवसायियों ने स्वयं के व्यवसाय पर शैक्षिक टैक्स लगाकर श्री वैष्णव सहायक कपड़ा मार्केट कमेटी की स्थापना की थी। इसका मूल उद्देश्य असहाय बंधुओं तथा जरूरतमंद नागरिकों की सहायता करना, पशु पक्षियों को आहार देना और साधु संतों की सेवा करना था। सभी पूर्ववर्ती संस्थापकों की दूरदर्शितापूर्ण नीतियों के क्रियान्वयन के फलस्वरूप संस्था द्वारा 1925 में श्री वैष्णव अन्न क्षेत्र एवं श्री रामकृष्ण बाग की स्थापना की। 1934 में श्री वैष्णव आयुर्वेदिक औषधालय की स्थापना की। यह औषधालय विगत 88 वर्षों से आज भी संचालित है। वह इसमें अब आयुर्वेदिक के साथ ही एलोपैथिक और होम्योपैथिक पद्धति से भी मरीजों का इलाज किया जाता है। 2015 से ट्रस्ट द्वारा 2 डायलिसिस सेंटर इंदौर में प्रारंभ किए गए। जिसमें डायलिसिस 400 रुपए में किया जाता है, जबकि उसकी कॉस्ट 1200 रुपए आती है। प्रत्येक माह करीब 1000 डायलिसिस दोनों डायलिसिस सेंटर पे किए जाते हैं। यह अनुभव करते हुए कि शिक्षा समाज के तेजी से विकास और सुखी जीवन जीने के लिए अत्यंत आवश्यक है, 1951 में वैष्णव ट्रस्ट द्वारा प्रथम वैष्णव हायर सेकेंडरी स्कूल की स्थापना की गई थी। वह स्थापना करना एक टर्निंग पॉइंट सिद्ध हुआ और आज वैष्णव ट्रस्ट के अंतर्गत 4 सीबीएसई स्कूल, 5 महाविद्यालय के बाद 2015 में श्री वैष्णव विश्वविद्यालय के कार्य प्रारंभ किया गया। वर्तमान में वैष्णव ट्रस्ट के तत्वाधान में 23,000 से अधिक छात्रों के साथ 25 शैक्षिक और सामाजिक संगठन कार्य कर रहे हैं। उल्लेखनीय है, न लाभ न हानि के आधार पर संचालित ये सभी संस्थाएं अपनी प्रतिष्ठा से संपूर्ण देश और प्रदेश को गौरवान्वित कर रही है। सन 2015 में श्री वैष्णव विश्वविद्यालय मध्य प्रदेश निजी विश्वविद्यालय अधिनियम के अंतर्गत स्थापित किया गया। मुझे विश्वास है कि हमारा विश्वविद्यालय विद्यार्थियों को उत्कृष्ट शिक्षा प्रदान करता रहेगा एवं देश के भविष्य की नींव सुदृढ़ करने में अपना महत्वपूर्ण योगदान निरंतर देता रहेगा। श्री वैष्णव विश्वविद्यालय का उद्देश्य गहरी शैक्षिक, बौद्धिक, नैतिक और आध्यात्मिक शिक्षा को प्रोत्साहन देना है। विश्वविद्यालय के मीडिया विभाग का उद्देश्य मीडिया शिक्षा और कौशल विकास पर ध्यान देने के साथ इनसे संबंधित मुद्दों पर विचार विमर्श करना है। श्री वैष्णव स्कूल ऑफ मैनेजमेंट 2018 से हर साल नवप्रबंधन नेशनल मैनेजमेंट कॉन्फ्रेंस का आयोजन करता रहा है। इस साल कॉन्फ्रेंस की थीम मैनेजमेंट इनोवेटिव अपॉर्चुनिटीज एंड चैलेंजेस फॉर सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट है। आज के इस अनिश्चित काल में प्रबंध में नवाचार महत्वपूर्ण होने के साथ ही चुनौतियों से भरा कार्य भी बन गया है। इसलिए मौजूदा दौर में कंपनियों की आवश्यकता सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ नवाचार को समाहित करने वाली होनी चाहिए। कॉन्फ्रेंस का उद्देश्य मैनेजमेंट के छात्रों को उद्योग और शिक्षाविदों के विषय विशेषज्ञों के साथ बातचीत करने का अवसर प्रदान करना है। विभिन्न सत्रों में चर्चा और बहस के लिए समकालीन विषयों की एक विस्तृत श्रृंखला के साथ नवप्रबंधन 2021-22 बुद्धिजीवियों, शिक्षाविदों और छात्रों के लिए उपयोगी सिद्ध होगी। मैं इस ऑनलाइन मंच पर आज पुनः श्री वैष्णव विश्वविद्यालय में आए हमारे मुख्य अतिथि श्री राजेंद्र दत्ता एवं सम्मान्य अतिथि श्री मोहन कामत का स्वागत अभिनंदन करता हूँ। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
थैंक यू सर। श्री वैष्णव ट्रस्ट का इतिहास बहुत ही गौरवशाली रहा है और आने वाला कल भी अत्यंत ही स्वर्णिम होगा। इन्हीं अभिलाषा के साथ नाउ release of souvenir is a movement of pride for organizers in any conference. May I now request the chief guest on the occasion, Mr. Datta, to release the souvenir Navansh virtually.
A pleasure and a privilege to launch this souvenir today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Today we are glad to have with us Mr. Mohan Kamath as guest of honor. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Kamath to the gathering. Mr. Kamath is the founder and director, Skill Mart, Mumbai. He is having more than 28 years of expertise in service delivery, transformation of performance to sustained results. Taking risk and experimenting in new areas is his passion. His expertise lies in enabling business excellence through strategic intervention in people and process, technology, design, or re-engineering. Started with sale and service and later held management positions across sectors like telecom, insurance, and IT. We are glad to have you today, sir. May I now request Mr. Kamath to enlighten us with his words of wisdom.
Very good afternoon. I hope I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes,
to
sir.
all?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Namrata, and congratulations to Vaishnav Vidyapeeth for taking up this subject on sustainable development. Certainly, it's the need of the hour or subject of the moment. And I would like to congratulate, and very nice to hear from Mr. Basari that it's an institution with almost like 100 years kind of a lineage with more than 23,000 students who have been touched upon. So certainly a great institution, and very happy to be here and share, and very nice to even touch base with so many other distinguished people as well. And I liked what Mrs. Dhar spoke about appreciation of ambiguous demands and how that connects to sustainable development. And also like what Mr. Dhar covered. In fact, he covered so many points that I was wondering, what do I speak about now? So,
True.
yeah, and but I liked what he connected with, like when he said, Mr. M.K. Gandhi said, that not looking at sustainable solution is like a social sin. So that's something very, very touching. And some of the things like these is what we have forgotten in our lives, and focusing on that was very nice. I liked also the process of innovation, what he touched upon, and the fact that that life has become a rat race where everybody is running after becoming brilliant. If you look at it from the time we grow from childhood to school to college to competitive exam, if I need to win, means somebody else has to fail. There's no way for me to win. So what we focus on, the cycle of winning, is in a completely different way that we touch upon. And that's all about individual brilliance. But when we touch upon collaboration, it's a completely different cycle. So while an organization may have brilliant individual people, an organization still may not lead to a sustainable growth, because unless those individual people know how to carry people along with them. So that's where the connect of has to come in, where institutions also need to look at how do we bring. It's not just about developing the IQ of people. There is something like IQ plus EQ, and that's one area which I'll try to touch upon. All four areas, what Dr. Dhar mentioned, the four pillars: competency, structure, culture, strategy, brilliantly covered. In fact, what I would like to add is these four pillars are pretty much interlinked, and they support each other. Like an organization is a sum of its leaders and the teams that they manage it. So when it comes individually to people, at the root of it will lie the competency of these leaders and what they do to bring these three pillars together. The rest of the three pillars together is what will matter. So competency lies at the very center of which helps create all the four pillars. So my 2 cents would be working, which I spent across all four sectors, is to touch base upon these areas. Because for me, innovation or continuous innovation, as I would like to term it, it's a competency with an individual or a leader or a team, which he has to be present to and develop as an ability. IQ plus EQ is what we speak about, and most of our learning on education, unfortunately, goes around only developing the IQ part of it, which we call as the left side of the brain. There are very, very few institutions which really focus on both elements, where IQ plus EQ comes into fore. If you look back at history, human species has always evolved. Whenever there was a challenge, something new came in. Like if you look at when humans were fighting with other mammals, the only thing was to how to survive, and things started developing through survival. So if you look at 200 years, human mankind came through World War I, World War II, Great Depression, Industrial Revolution. All these things created changes, but we survived, right? So what has really changed now? Why are we talking of sustainable development now? So if you look at what has changed is the pace of change. The pace of change has improved drastically. Today, when people talk of change, we don't talk of 50 years. We talk of what's going to happen in the next 5 years, 3 years, 2 years. So what has changed is really the pace of change. So we always like people to hear that life is all about, how we lived, as per to make our forefathers happy and proud. But if I look at it now, I think what the present generation needs to think is, how we live so that we make the next generation proud. So that's the big change. It's no longer about making forefathers proud, but it is leaving something that makes your next generation proud. So sustainability is just one of the current challenges, if you ask me. Now, if I were to, share with this group that, come to think of it, that, if we were able to fast forward the time, right? Just imagine that all of us have moved 50 years from now. Maybe we are there in the same conference. Maybe I may not be alive to see that time. But yeah, 50 years from now, if it was the same conference year 20, instead of 2022, it was say 2075, would we be discussing this issue of sustainability? Probably not. Probably not, because as time changes, the human mind is so fertile that it could have developed solutions even for this problem. But what is really core? But it so happens, that the core of what is there, about why we need to think, like, there are issues. There are people these days are talking that probably the light emitted by the sun, even that might go away in some time. Human knowledge is acquired to the extent that we are talking of star formations might decline. We are saying that in a few years, probably stars may not survive. Maybe we have to move to Moon or Mars to survive. That's where people are getting into. The point I'm trying to make is sustainability is definitely an issue to talk about. And probably, but the subject today, but 50 years from now, it will not be about sustainability alone. It might be something else. So if we really need to understand what is it that, the environment or subject that we need to learn about is the art of skill of innovation. It is solutions that we create are only a matter of time. Today, when we are saying solutions are not there, there will be some brain which will work on it and some solutions keep happening. And we are seeing it all around us. What we need to understand is the core of sustainability issue lies in our ability to innovate. Not once, but innovate again and again and again, and probably innovate at a much faster pace. So if you ask me, what people are cursing plastic, people are saying ban plastic, but is plastic not a good innovation? So what we don't know about plastic is how to create an end of life of plastic. Plastic in itself as an innovation was never bad. It was one of the fantastic innovations. What we don't know is how to create an end of life of plastic. So please innovate. I mean, people have to put brains together. How do we bring end of life to plastic? I mean, as we talk, I think I was reading just a few days back that somebody has made found a way where, they have found some enzyme which can help dissolve plastic in a much faster time, probably a matter of a few days. So here now all people who are cursing plastic for innovation or something not being sustainable, the world has changed. So we have to be very careful when we say what is not sustainable. And the core focus of what needs to be built is innovation. So how do we think innovation is born? I mean, we have umpteen examples in history, right from the story of Roger Bannister. I'm sure you would have heard of it. Like, he was the first guy, which we heard, who challenged the books of science. When somebody said you can't do, a mile or 4 laps in 4 minutes, I mean, and the journal said so. So here was a guy who went and challenged it. But the story was not about he breaking the record of, doing 4 laps or a mile in 4 minutes. The story was the moment Roger Bannister did it, within 6 months, there were 6 more people who did it. So what were these 6 people waiting for? That's the bigger question we need to answer. So the challenge is in the mindset which says this is not possible or this can't be done. What the generation today, if you are working on sustainable solution, what you need to work around is the issue that there is, don't get into mindset which restricts you, don't get into mindset which does not help challenge the thinking what is there. While I say it sounds very simple, no? Like, but if you look around you, that's what happened. Nobody anticipated the COVID situation, right? But you look at what happened. We were able to come out of it, right? What holds us back is, we never thought that, life can still run in spite of COVID. There are new ways of, modified ways of working. So what holds us back is our own ability to take risks and try new things. So everyone individually and including corporate leaders, all of us get conditioned in a particular way of life. It's all because of the environment, the way we are brought about. But do we really learn how to come out of it? So, and this is not something that we have been dealing with today. I mean, if you look at it, Edison dealt with it, right? Edison, when he came up with the invention called box light, what happened to him? He was thrown out of P&G. I hope you know his story as well, right? When he came out of something like a box light, he was thrown out of the company. But the fact that he did not give up the idea, right, gave us GE as a company, which outgrew P&G as a company. Now these are, and there are so many other examples. I mean, Sony was known for Walkman, Nokia was known for phone, right? But if you look at this, innovations keep happening. So what is it that makes innovation possible? So if you do what you have always done, you will get always what you've always got, and that is not sustenance, right? So the whole concept goes around back to, are we continuously innovating? What has changed? The speed of obsolescence has changed. That is what has crashed. I mean, we, in our earlier days, and I'm sure Rajan Dattaji will also agree, we were not so much worried about the pace of change, because we used to plan 5 years now. We used to plan 10 years now, kya hoga? I think today's generation needs to focus on what will happen in the next 2 years. Probably what I learned in my previous year in my curriculum is no longer valid today, which means by the time I graduate and step out in the industry, what I have learned, 50% of it is obsolete. So that's the pace of change, what we need to get ready with. I mean, Einstein himself said, I mean, you can never solve a problem using the same line of thinking that created it. So if you do what you have always done and expect a breakthrough, you must be insane. So that's not going to get you where you want to be. So if you are not moving forward, definitely you are moving backwards. There is nothing called status quo. In this world today, I mean, that's where we are now. So let's take the context of an organization. So how do you know if an organization is doing well on sustainability, right? To me, the one question which we ask an organization, even in my consulting, when we do, the first thing, what even gets us a lot of consulting contracts, the first thing people say is, we are dealing with a lot of urgencies. We are dealing with, we plan something, but there are so many things to be done. We are always firefighting. To me, that's the first thing that tells you that this organization is not going to be sustainable. Dealing with urgencies is not a matter of strength, right? It is, urgency driven individuals will be driven towards breakdown, right? Important things that you focus is what is going to make you break through focus. A mind which is practiced to stay calm can come up with more solutions even when there is a storm, right? A mind which is practiced to stay calm can come up with more solutions even when there is a storm. So I keep reading this every day, and when we work with organizations to build that, that is what we tell them, right? So the steps that, like Dr. Dhar also spoke about, when you talk of processes and structure, that is what it does to you. It gives you that ability to stay calm when there is a storm. So when we say, being compatible to disruptions for achieving organizational effectiveness, what does it mean? It really means that, when we are building a competencies with our managers and leaders and organization, we are building something like resilience to change. Even if there are changes around us, which change every year, the technology changes every year, people change every year. I mean, you have a call center or technology-backed ITES sector, which has got an attrition of 30 to 40%. So has the attrition come down, or have they fought with that? No, but they have learned how to live with that attrition. So they have solutions how to take care. I mean, I have seen organizations, where earlier we used to say, for a person to join, take charge, we used to spend something like 20 days for the person to learn all products, for the person to learn how to talk. By the time a person is put to interact with the customer, it is a 15 to 20 days cycle where it is ready. Do you think an organization can afford that today? Absolutely not. So they have designed processes and technology where it is 2 to 3 days of induction before you hit the market. It's only 2 to 3 days of induction. We use technology, information is available, right? It is readily available. The best of the problem, the troubleshooting even on your computers happens. I mean, I worked with Dell where you created technology to make it happen. So any solutions are there. Within 3 days, the guy is dealing with his clients in US to solve problems. Because you have enabled technology. While the client may not know, here on the screen, he's actually reading what the screen is saying, and it is doing troubleshooting for him. And he's just reading the screen, while the person on the other side feels, that this person knows the answers to all questions. It's not. It's all technology enabled. So that's what innovation can do. So bridging the gap, reducing time cycles, making person more readily available. So that's adding value, which is making sustainable. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge that how do you keep brains so fertile that innovation is continuous. So if I were to again ask the question to the audience and the crowd, can any one of you innovate, or is it specific to some individual that that only some category of people can innovate, some cannot, right? The answer to that is yes, every human being who is present and self-aware about his mind, his abilities, aspirations can innovate. There is no such people like, that only an X category of people can innovate. Anybody can innovate. If you look at most of the innovators, they were not necessarily the best or the most who carried highest PhDs or records or anything. And again, it is not function centric. It can be in marketing, product, manufacturing, sales, operations, HR, finance. Innovation is across streams. It is not that only certain categories. So because sometimes I find some organizations create innovation team only in product. Sometimes they create innovation team only on certain desks. See, innovation is not restricted to function. Anybody can think. The ability to innovate, the ability to challenge the current and continuously look for possibilities is what is going to keep you sustained. So these are what you need to see. So what you really need to, to drive change is firstly, someone asking and raising a question to which the person where you do not have an answer. Normally we say, we'll feel very uncomfortable when somebody asks us a question for which I don't have an answer. The easiest way is to feel uncomfortable. And the best way to look at it is, hey, here is somebody is giving you an opportunity to think innovatively. That's the first cue you get. The second is, there is always some brain when you don't have an answer who feels rattled by the question and finds an answer. Now, both these aspects, of what are most relevant to understand. Sustainability, as we call it today, emanated from what already existed. It is just that we are not aware of it, right? Someone raised a question that the glaciers are melting and there is floods often now, right? And then there are suddenly so many neurotransmitters which suddenly rattled so many brains that somebody had started questioning them and triggering with solutions. And suddenly you start seeing solutions coming up on how to deal with climate change. So what has happened? So organizations and individuals need to be ready for this. So how do we build our ability to continuously innovate? Are people who innovate born with different abilities, or are they just able to activate something inside them, which we are not aware of? So coming back to the issue of sustainability as we see it today, it is all about variety of socio-economic problems. It could be population, technology, environment-driven, causing challenges like inequality, globalization, environmental degradation, population diversity. So if our source of innovation is limited to humankind, the innovation itself is likely to be sustainable. This is where it connects to what even Gandhi said, right? We have to link our innovation, right? Like I spoke about plastic, same holds for tires. Why does it take us years and years to recycle tires? Why can't somebody work on the product life cycle of a tire so that we are able to take care of it? So the product has to meet its natural death without any harm to environment. And that is what we are saying when what is, a product design which is sustainable. So whatever you innovate in life, when you're able to map the usage and the complete life cycle of the product, right? That is when we call it, that it is complete, or what is now being termed as, a new term, what we normally hear, circular economy, right? Which does not go anything against the law of nature. So simple way to understand is, what came from nature goes back into nature, and that is sustainable. Because God is trying to tell us that, it is just trying to make us aware that life and everything on the planet always existed, even before humans arrived. And it is we humans who are just visitors here, who will come and pass. Life will even continue without us, right? So that's the biggest reality we have to be, more present to, right? India too has pledged that, that we are going to be net zero by 2070, right? And we have announced a target, of 50% renewable energy by 2030, right? So why do we need so much time? Because surely, if 65% or more of our power generation comes from coal. So while we are looking at, EVs taking, we are getting into rechargeable batteries and people are heavily going forward, looking forward to EVs. But there is one question again. If you're going to use a power which is coal-fired to charge these EVs, we have still not solved the problem. So probably we'll need a solar solution to even charge the EVs. So innovation therefore is continuous, right? If I'm charging it through the normal electricity, which is coal-fired, I'm still not solving the problem, okay? So this is just the beginning of innovation. So sustainability is simply connecting your innovation with the life cycle of innovation such that it does not disrupt your laws of nature. So I'll just come toward the end of what I wanted to share. And there's this beautiful poem which I almost like to read it every day. It was written by Joseph Epstein. That all men and women are born, we live, suffer, and die. What distinguishes us one from another is our dreams. Now, whether these are dreams for worldly or unworldly things and what we do to make them come about. We do not choose to be born. We do not choose our parents. We do not choose our historical epoch or the country of our birth or immediate circumstances of our upbringing. We do not, most of us, even choose the timing or the place of our death. But within this realm of choicelessness, we choose how we live. So innovation, leadership, and success is all about looking for possibilities when the world said there was none. We should not be rattled by not having an answer. We should rather say, this is the cue for me that I have got something to innovate. Somebody is trying to tell me this is where I need to look for innovation. Sustainability seems to be a challenge today. The competency to innovate, what drives this exceptional behavior with individuals and build those competencies with the next generation. It is not just about cognitive skills. It will be about my ability, my EQ plus IQ, my right and left lobe of the brain, which I need to use together, which is what will help me. It is not that I make, some extra money for which I need an innovation. How do I connect that innovation to mankind? How do I look at the complete life cycle that it has to start from nature, go back to nature? That's complete innovation. The complete life cycle of innovation has to be thought through, which can help you deal. So that's the competency, guys, is what I believe so is going to help continuous innovation. So with that, I end, and I hope there will be a lot more interesting thoughts which will come through. So wishing everyone all the very best to take this initiative forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your talk is particularly appropriate at this time when the entire world is on its survey of finding the means to achieve sustainable development. It would be a great pleasure for us to listen to you again in our future events. Thank you once again. Today, it is indeed a matter of immense pleasure that Navprabandhan witnessed the gracious presence of Mr. Datta as the chief guest. I feel privileged in introducing Mr. Datta to the audience. Mr. Rajan Datta is a managing director, Extrops Consulting, managing partner, Expert Connections, managing partner, RefCheck Experts in Mumbai. Mr. Datta is a seasoned corporate and consulting professional. He is a certified executive coach, mentor, trainer, and accredited independent director and total quality management specialist. Has held senior level positions as CEO, director, group president, HR in reputed companies like Reliance, Lupin Pharma, Airtel, and Ideas Cellular. For his deep knowledge and expertise and contributions, he has been awarded and recognized as the top 20 globally and top 10 HR leaders in India, HR pride and role model professionals by various organizations and professional bodies. With these words, I invite Mr. Rajan Datta for his address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jain, for this warm introduction. My sincere good afternoon and namaskar to all the people who have joined this conference today. I convey my respects to Shri Vaishnav School of Management and Shri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya for this invitation for me to join this esteemed conference, national conference today. Also, I extend my special thanks to Dr. Rishu Roy, who have actually coordinated and connected with me for this invitation. It's very apt, as Mr. Kamath was mentioning, that the topic is very current and very, very important topic. So compliments to the people who have actually kind of put together and chosen this topic about management innovation, which is also creating opportunities as well as challenges for sustainable development as well as growth. Well, I realized that in life, for the future, current and future outcomes and happiness, it's all about choices that one makes. And that's where Mr. Kamath actually ended. And I begin my thought from there, that it's all about choices that one makes. In the early 50s, humbled by the Second World War, Japan needed a vehicle to reestablish their national pride. Made in Japan became that vehicle. Their leadership team demanded the Japanese citizens to reject poor quality of products as an act of patriotism. Singapore set national standards for service quality in the 60s, while Taiwan campaigned for intellectual supremacy in electronics in the 70s. Korea undertook innovation in automobiles in the 80s, while the Nordic nations pioneered the global standards for mobile telephony in the 90s. Cost optimization by China in the 21st century and the supremacy in global IT outsourcing by India have earned pride of place for each nation. Now, what are some of the common things and the aspect of being leaders in their respective area of work, or what they've achieved, or what they have created themselves and they're known for? Have none of these have happened by chance. These are certain choices which the organizations, the countries have actually made and have actioned upon. Well, unless the captains of the nations and the industry leaders challenge their citizens and their teams to get educated, trained, and raise their standard of living, they would have nothing to aspire for. Someone had to and has to pioneer the change, the transformation, the grooming, and the mentor the generations to come, or business ventures to be seeded and grow. Someone lit up the spirit of their identity and encouraged them to show the way for others to emulate. And hence, similarly, for availing opportunities and managing the challenges for sustainable development or growth, it's important to demand excellence as a way of life. So the key here is demanding and working on a journey of excellence as a way of life. One of the key elements in all of this, what I have shared so far, is about leadership. And leadership is the key. It's our business leaders at every level. There are leaders which are at dispersed level. In fact, Dr. Dhar also spoke about leadership and about leaders at every level. It's our leaders at every level who are responsible for creating the right culture of performance and innovations in organizations. Innovations is critical for corporate success. Let me quickly share some thoughts on some of the broad quotes or thoughts which have been shared by corporate leaders. I heard about the chairman and CEO of Ford Motors kind of sharing that we will adopt innovation as its core business strategy going forward. So that's what G has to say. The chairman and CEO of G says, innovation imperatives is central to our business. And hence, imagination breakthroughs projects is critical to growth. Similarly, Microsoft CEO opined that Innovation is the only way to keep customers happy and competitors at bay. And this innovation since creativity is so much of diverse and so much of a different kind of what choices you make to create the structure and the base of your organization. For example, Starbucks actually created their business not because of a better tasting coffee, but a customer experience as the third place. People have homes, people have offices. They want to create a third place, a place where vendors, customers, partners, your loved ones can meet at a place in a pretty nice, decent, hygienic place and have a cup of coffee and dialogue and discuss. So it's about the third place. The idea of a third place is what Starbucks kind of put together. Hence, it's important that companies foster the culture that support team to deliver innovation. And for that, we must let go egos, build a long-term optimism, celebrate small success along the way. Organization should embrace disruptions and the resulting challenges or opportunities as a part of their innovation process and growth. Let us evaluate. We've just gone through a phase of this COVID pandemic. And hence, let us evaluate the current business situation. The current businesses are faced with the difficulty to get the whole engine working efficiently. There is great pressure on business, both on customer demands and servicing levels. Customers' behaviors have also changed with their inclination for products which are affordable, products which are value products, health-oriented, fewer shopping trips, conveniences products, and brand authenticity. Especially during this COVID time, organizations have also taken certain decisions to either downsize, cut pay, defer pay, no bonuses or incentives, and even increments. At the same time, there are issues of falling revenues, depreciating or dip in profits, customer service level, increasing stakeholders' demands. For many, this is a time and the issue of their own survival. This is the time when businesses are challenged and the leadership styles are also put to test. In this current scenario, it's not enough for companies to recover revenues gradually in the crisis situation. Leaders will have to fundamentally rethink their revenue profiles to position themselves as long-term and to get ahead of competition. The answer was now or never. Moves will be essential, and hence rapid revenue responses, identification and prioritization of revenue opportunities, develop an agile operating model which is driven by urgency, agility, solving problems, giving remote teams more decision-making authority, supported by the right processes and governance to build efficiency. So there were innovations, creativity in your work, in a new way of work to create and build efficiency and sustainability. During this scenario, you'll find that there are quite a few and quite a substantial number of organizations and corporates who have created and who have leveraged this disadvantage to their advantage. There are some inspired businesses like Domino's, Amazon India. There are hospitals like Apollo, Fortis, who have and many more who have managed the challenge of stakeholders' requirements and the aspiration with agility. What were some of the unique things that they did to create this advantage for themselves in this crisis? But they created success because they changed fast. They changed their business models with creativity, innovation, and customer requirements. the aspect of bringing about new ideas and ideations and putting them into action in terms of the need of the hour and need of the time and what your customers need is what really got them the advantage of success and making phenomenal growth in their time of in this testing times. For this managing and sustain honest and profitable growth, it's important that organizations need to invest and explore innovations in their business strategies, people management, finance strategies, marketing strategies, and operational excellence. So all of this is actually an aspect of the holistic aspects of innovation that people and organizations need to work upon to create success for themselves. In this journey of creativity and innovation, using quality tools, provide hands-on support to work on some of the identified company critical projects, deploy recognition and reward programs to create the culture of innovation using radical thinking and creativity has been essential for their sustainability and growth. Organizations needed to really focus and channelize their energies with their company mission, vision, values, enunciating to create an alignment and a sense of fulfillment. Dr. Dhar spoke about capability building, which is so very important. This is a continuous need of the hour, need of the business, and hence identify the gaps in people, development, and their individual aspirations, and the company's perspectives, and design and develop those programs and those inputs for their development and growth. We realized in the last few years some of the critical challenges that organizations were faced with. And in our own interventions with some of our customers, clients, and our business partners, we brought about certain transformation, change, and growth strategies. And these challenges, some of them were around organizations which were facing delays in high rejections, high production cost, increased downtime, low quality, and high customer complaint. It was a problem that they were faced with very high level of wastage, and wastage which was creating increased downtime and low quality. It was also that a set of organizations were faced with huge issue of low productivity, high process waste, increased downtime, process complexity, and low engagement. So organizations were struggling to find certain solutions as to how do they find certain solutions for increasing their productivity, increasing their growth, their productivity, their profitability, and also certain efficiency and employee engagement. In this course of work, which were through process re-engineering route, waste control route, productivity improvement, we went through certain interventions with organizations doing process diagnosis, root cause analysis, process re-engineering, mistake proofing, product re-engineering, using tools like PFMEA, which is process failure mode effect analysis, time and motion study, lean management, product re-engineering, process automation, and low-cost optimization. There were huge sort of tools and processes which were worked through, and we found that this brought about very profitable solutions, dividends through this process re-engineering, through these waste control, improving higher productivity through engagement and involvement of teams, and also bringing about high degree of cost reduction in their businesses and cost optimization. So through this, my message here is, it really does not matter what tools you use. Any aspect of the concepts and tools and interventions that you use would be customized to the kind of requirement that that intervention, that problem requires solutioning. Whether you use total quality management, Six Sigma, TPM, 5S, knowledge management, business process engineering, and any of the other tools that I spoke about. It's important in our experience for creating success. It requires top team's commitment, investment of the top team, team synergy, team engagement, a very strong review mechanism set up in the company, and recognition reward. And many companies also forget, but we will also emphasize that the system of reprimand should also needs to be instituted where things are not going in line with the values or the agreed norms. All of this, what we are sharing here is about creating the right culture or the right quality culture in the organization. And that is what will bring about the transformation, change, and the growth and sustainability. Well, the message here is also that the creativity and innovation is no one person's proprietary. It's available in abundance, irrespective of the academic level, the organization hierarchy, the age, or the geography. To share with you some experience, way back in 1986 to 89, I was the training manager and the TQM manager of Xerox. And I realized and I found that there were a set of young girls who were intermediates and non-management graduates who were working in the looms, leads and looms harnesses. And also another set of teams which were working in toner manufacturing operators. These people were while we trained them and inculcated with certain tools and concepts of quality, we realized that these teams, young budding people who are non-graduates, but extremely high quality and very team-oriented and engaged, participated into quality initiatives and programs and competition, not only in India, but also in UK and US. And they brought laurels, reward, and recognition for Xerox and for the country worldwide. So the message here is that it's right from the security guard to the PM to an operator to the manager and the top person. God has given brains. We just need to appropriately engage them, involve them, and get them to participate. And I'm sure, and in my own personal experience over the last 4 decades, I've seen that people have come back with wonderful, and they will surprise you with the kind of innovations and creative thoughts that people can pull in and bring success to organizations and to people. And hence, for achieving higher performance, organizations can be aggressive in their operations excellence, driving targets, but equally essential is to retain the good people, the good talent, and motivate them to achieve their goals. Hence, what are some of the things that organization needs to keep in mind? And what are some of the things that organizations need to set up for their success? Organizations need to evolve the right kind of a customer-focused structures, and Dr. Dhar also spoke about, create the right leadership teams. It's very, very important. Organizations to have the right teams. Because, the problem most problem happens at the top. The fish always rots from the head. The bottle always has a congestion at the top because that's where it narrows up. It's very important to have the right kind of a team, a talent, and the right kind of a leadership teams for the success of any organization. Mobilizing organizations with clear setting right goals, priorities, empower the teams to implement solution. Provide appropriate coaching to the leadership and the senior teams. Promote rapid problem solving and execution with a network of teams and not keep it to very few restricted or only to the top. Organizations need to train employees on customer sensitivity and to empower employees, train employees and empower employees right till the front level. Build agility, that is the culture of speed of response. And that's what some of my other speakers also spoke about. Speed of response to market while cascading the feeling of trust, respect, collaboration for sustainable relationship and performance. It is critical during this time to make more investment on technology, intensive training, upskilling of staff, and recognize the performance and the performers as we need more heroes to perform. The mantra of business continuity and success can be achieved through a blend of people excellence with higher level of customer satisfaction. Well, leadership is also another paradigm that we need to be considered, where leadership can be a balance of toughness as well as nicety, which is a compassion for people. I think that balance also needs to be brought about in this stretch, stress, strain, and demands on performance. Friends, I can only share this with you with conviction that we are all at the right place and the right time. The climate of political, economic, and business situations are all favorable. We witness the successes every other day of new unicorns coming up, while lots of enthusiastic and young entrepreneurs are venturing into business with less fears. Most of these businesses, I must say, are woven around innovative products, services, which are centered around customer conveniences. We need to keep in mind it's centered around customer conveniences, speed of delivery, and social media connects. In this current world of innovation and creativity, it's very important to keep that in mind about digital technology and leveraging the social media. In all this, building a culture of customer sensitivity, engaging higher levels of employee engagement and performance, innovations, creating and nurturing the culture of innovation and creativity in organizations, implementing the best practices with high degree of customization, with adherence to systems, processes, policies, at the same time leveraging digital technology and social media, adherence to quality standards and business review are all important to the success of organization success and sustainability for current and future. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for giving me this time to share my thoughts with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your expertise and insightful address regarding the need of balanced leadership, which can shift and respond to changes with actions that are focused quick and agile. I look forward to have you again in forthcoming programs. With these words, I now invite Shri Kamal Narayan Tripuradia, Honorary Secretary, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Trust, to propose vote of thanks.
हमारे आज के कार्यक्रम के माननीय मुख्य अतिथि श्री राजन जी दत्ता, प्रबंध निर्देशक एक्सट्रॉप्स कंसल्टिंग मुंबई, एवं विशेष अतिथि श्री मोहन कामत, संस्थापक एवं संचालक स्किल मार्ट, श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय के माननीय कुलाधिपति श्री पुरुषोत्तम दास जी पसारी, श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय के माननीय कुलपति डॉक्टर उपेंद्र धर जी, कॉन्फ्रेंस संयोजक डॉक्टर संतोष धर जी, नव प्रबंधन 2021-22 के डीन, FDSR, समन्वयक, SVSM, SVVV एंड कॉन्फ्रेंस के सम्मिलित होने वाले समस्त वक्तागण, प्रतिभागीगण, विभिन्न शैक्षणिक संस्थाओं के विद्यार्थीगण एवं इस विश्वविद्यालय के शिक्षकगण, अधिकारीगण एवं छात्र छात्राएं। सर्वप्रथम श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय की ओर से नव प्रबंधन 2021-22 के उद्घाटन समारोह के मुख्य अतिथि श्री राजन दत्ता जी एवं विशेष अतिथि श्री मोहन कामत जी को मैं हार्दिक धन्यवाद देता हूं कि आपने हमारे आमंत्रण को सहज स्वीकार किया और हमारी कॉन्फ्रेंस में सम्मिलित होकर हमें गौरवान्वित किया। आपके प्रेरणादायी एवं उद्बोधन से आज हम सभी लाभान्वित हुए हैं और निश्चित तौर पर हमारे विद्यार्थियों और हमारी फैकल्टीज के लिए ये अत्यंत ही उपयोगी सिद्ध होगा और उनके उज्जवल भविष्य का मार्ग प्रशस्त करेगा। इसके लिए हम आपके बहुत आभारी हैं। सर, आप दोनों के लिए मैं यही कहूंगा कि बहुआयामी आप हैं और बहुआयामी काज पाकर अपने बीच में पुलकित हैं। हम आज मिलते हैं मिन्नतों से, ऐसे मेहमा कभी कभी हो जाती हैं किस्मतें, यूं मेहरमा कभी कभी, जज्बात जग जाए हम भी नया कुछ करें, देखा जो आप लोगों को लगा हम भी कुछ करें, मिलती है किसी से प्रेरणा कभी कभी, हो जाती हैं किस्मतें यूं मेहरमा कभी कभी। मैं आपका पुनः अभिवादन करता हूं। मैं आज के इस जो हमारा ये मैनेजमेंट इनोवेशन अपॉर्चुनिटीज एंड चैलेंजेस फॉर सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट वर्तमान समय के अनुसार अत्यंत प्रासंगिक है और निश्चित तौर पर यह प्रबंधन क्षेत्र में विकास हेतु बहुत उपयोगी सिद्ध होगा। सर, हमारी जो वैष्णव ट्रस्ट जो समूह है ये पिछले 138 ईयर्स से लगातार चल रहा है। तो मैं देखता हूं कि इसमें भी हमारा जो कंसेप्ट है SVVV, विजन वैल्यूज विक्ट्री, ये हमारा जो एक वो है कंसेप्ट है, उसी कंसेप्ट से हम लगातार चल रहे हैं। और मैंने देखा कि हम जो हमारा विजन और वैल्यूज के कारण आज हम सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट दिन भर हम, जैसे सर ने बताया कि न्यू आइडियाज, नए आइडियाज, उनको कैप्चरिंग करना, उनको इवेल्युएट करना, हमारी संस्था में हम दिन भर कॉम्पिटेंसी, स्ट्रक्चर, कल्चर और स्ट्रेटेजी पे हमेशा ध्यान देके भी हमने इस संस्था को आगे बढ़ाया है। तो हम चाहते हैं कि आपका जब प्रत्यक्ष रूप से जब आप कभी आए और हमारी संस्था को देखें और हमको संस्था के साथ साथ हमारे विद्यार्थियों को भी आप व्यक्तिगत रूप से जब मार्गदर्शन देंगे तो हमें अत्यंत खुशी होगी। मैं वैष्णव विद्यापीठ विश्वविद्यालय के कुलाधिपति श्री पुरुषोत्तम दास जी पसारी एवं कुलपति डॉक्टर उपेंद्र धर जी का भी बहुत आभार मानता हूं। उन्होंने पूरे आपको ट्रस्ट के बारे में पसारी जी ने जानकारी दी। साथ ही धर साहब ने आज बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से उसके अपने सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ के 4 पिलर्स बताए, कॉम्पिटेंसी, स्ट्रक्चर, कल्चर, स्ट्रेटेजी, और साथ ही उन्होंने नए आइडियाज क्रिएट करने के लिए, तो उनके नेतृत्व में हम भी इसी प्रकार हमारे यूनिवर्सिटी को भी एक अच्छे सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट में हम प्रयुक्त कर रहे हैं। मैं उनका और पसारी जी, हम सर का बहुत बहुत आभार मानता हूँ। मैं इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में सम्मिलित हुए समस्त वक्तागण, प्रतिभागीगण, मैनेजमेंट, महाविद्यालयों के शिक्षाविद का भी आभारी हूँ जो इस कॉन्फ्रेंस की प्रासंगिकता को पूरा सक्षम करने में अपना योगदान दे रहे हैं। मैं कॉन्फ्रेंस संयोजक डॉक्टर संतोष धर एवं डॉक्टर संतोष धर का भी बहुत आभार मानता हूं एवं डॉक्टर रिसु राय जो कोऑर्डिनेटर हैं उनका भी आभार मानता हूं। मैं डॉक्टर नम्रता जैन जो कि अच्छी तरह से संचालन कर रही है, उनका भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मैनेजमेंट के साथ साथ अन्य महाविद्यालयों से सम्मिलित हुए विद्यार्थियों को मैं बधाई देता हूं कि जिन्होंने इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में बढ़ चढ़कर हिस्सा लिया है। निश्चित तौर पर ये उनके कैरियर में ये कॉन्फ्रेंस बहुत लाभदायी सिद्ध होगी। मैं आपसे यही कहना चाहूंगा कि सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट हमेशा हमें अपने संसाधनों को संरक्षण और बढ़ाने के लिए प्रोत्साहित करता है। सभी देशों को अपनी रोजगार, भोजन, ऊर्जा, पानी, स्वास्थ्य और स्वच्छता जैसी बुनियादी जरूरतों को पूरा करने में ये मदद करता है। साथ ही मुझे आशा है कि इस कॉन्फ्रेंस की सुमधुर स्मृतियां को आप सदैव अपने स्मृति पटल पर प्रदीप्तमान रखेंगे। मैं पुनः हमारे आप दोनों अतिथियों का आभार मानता हूं। सर, आपका एक बार और बुलंद हो। आप निरंतर प्रगति करते रहें। विश्वविद्यालय परिवार आपके उज्जवल भविष्य की कामना करता है एवं ये कामना करता है कि आप शतायु हों, स्वस्थ हों और फिर हमें इंदौर जैसे स्वच्छ शहर में हम आपके आगमन की प्रतीक्षा करेंगे। इंदौर ने, जैसा आपको मालूम है, कि 5 बार स्वच्छता का उपहार जीता है पूरे भारत में और छठे के छक्के लगाने की कोशिश कर रहा है। तो मेरे ख्याल से इसमें भी कोई ना कोई सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट इनोवेशन, नए इनोवेशन आए। अभी आपको मैं बताऊं कि यहाँ पर एक प्लांट डला है जिसमें कि बहुत सबसे बड़ा, जो एशिया का सबसे बड़ा प्लांट डला है, जिसमें पूरे कचरे से सीएनजी बना रहे हैं और कचरे की खाद भी बन रही है। तो इस प्रकार के हम नए इनोवेशन के साथ इंदौर को भी आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। हम आपका भी सर प्रत्यक्ष जरूर आपका अनुभव का लाभ लेना चाहेंगे। इसे तो हम आपको सहर्ष आमंत्रित करते हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपने जो अपने व्यस्तम समय से समय दिया। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
शुक्रिया, थैंक यू, रियली अप्रिशिएट। बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much. Thank you.
थैंक यू, थैंक्स फॉर दिस इनविटेशन।
थैंक यू सर। आपको सुनना हमेशा ही बड़ा रोचक रहता है और आपने जो इंदौर और सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट और इनोवेशन की बात कही है, उसमें सिर्फ 2 पंक्तियां और जोड़ना चाहती हूँ। नव भारत की नवीन संस्कृति, नव भारत की नवीन संस्कृति नित करती रहे नव निर्माण, नवीन पथ की नवीन दिशा हो, नवीन पथ की नवीन दिशा हो, नित होते रहे नव संग्राम। नव चैतना नव जागृति, नव चैतना नव जागृति, प्राच्य में हो उसका मिलान, विरल चले अनंत बड़े, श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ करे सदा नवाचार, श्री वैष्णव विद्यापीठ करे सदा नवाचार।
मैडम, मैं भी इसमें ऐड कर देता हूँ एक और चीज। मैं भी एक चीज ऐड कर देता हूँ कि ऊंचाई पे वही पहुंचते हैं जो नई शोधों के साथ साथ लक्ष्य बनाकर मेहनत कर परिवर्तन को मजबूत संकल्प शक्ति के साथ करते हैं और शोध करते हैं। जो भी शोध हुआ है वो अनुकूल परिस्थितियों के कारण नहीं हुआ है, वरन मजबूत संकल्प शक्ति के कारण हुआ है, मजबूत कमिटमेंट के कारण हुआ है, मजबूत टीम कमिटमेंट के कारण हुआ है। और जैसा कि हमको सर लोगों ने बताया कि टीम कमिटमेंट और टॉप टीम कमिटमेंट सबसे ज्यादा आवश्यक होता है नए शोधों के लिए। इसी के साथ मैं सभी आपकी जितनी भी टीम है, आपको बहुत बहुत फिर से आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू। With this, we come to the close of the inaugural session, and I request all present over here to please rise in the honor of national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
भारत माता की जय।
जय।
With this, we come to the close of the inaugural session. I now hand over the session to Dr. Shweta Adani for further proceedings. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone. Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge. Knowledge makes you great. With these words, I, Dr. Shweta Dani, happy to welcome you all to the plenary session of Navprabandhan-2021-22. Today, it's an honor for us to have a very talented panel of speakers for this session. And our distinguished speakers of this session are Mr. Dinesh Subedar, Group Auditor, Novartis, Mumbai; Dr. Amit Roy, State Head, Patrika MP; Dr. Parul Maru, GM, DNR Seeds Private Limited, Raipur. So, to make the session more happier, I would like to offer a virtual welcome to our eminent speakers. Thank you. It's an immense pleasure for me to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Dinesh Subedar. Mr. Subedar is a group auditor at Novartis Region, India and West Asia. Mumbai is risk expert in business and human rights, industrial disputes, people rights, lead auditor for SA 8000, ISO 14001, ISO 45001, ISO 9001, and many more fields. Before joining Novartis, he has worked in Maharashtra Police as Nodal Officer for Cybercrime and ID Advisor. He has also worked in HSBC as Head Procurement and Group Sustainable Development. He is Certified Coach Alliance USA Business Excellence. He has completed Advanced Diploma in Business and Corporate Law, Banking, Corporate Finance, and Securities Law from Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies. He has done his graduation in Mechanical Engineering from Karnataka State Open University. His core area of expertise are sustainability, audit, human rights, ethics, compliance, labor rights, anti-bribery, risk management, investigation and legal reporting, social audit, Lean Six Sigma, information security, cyber security, third-party risk management, to name a few. I once again welcome you, sir, and I hand over the screen to you for the session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dani. And let me first share the screen. Please let me know once you can see my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Hello?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Whether my screen is visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes,
Okay.
it is visible.
Thank you very much. So, good afternoon. My name is Dinesh Subedar, and thank you very much for the warm introduction given during this national conference. So, first of all, I would like to thank Sri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vidyalay, and I'm really glad to hear the thoughts from the eminent speakers this morning. I also would like to thank Dr. Rishi Roy and the concepts which were addressed by Dr. Dhar and other eminent speakers. I know the topic is very wide and the time is very short, so I will keep my my session very crisp, but I'm sure it will be very informative. If I was glad to see the mission of the Vishwavidyalaya itself is talking about to make difference in sustaining the growth of global society by developing socially responsible citizens. And this is the need and basis of sustainable development today. The another important aspect which I saw from the Vishwavidyalaya is excellence in management, which is of course an output of the sustainable development. I am only going to touch upon a few, only 4 topics here today. The challenges, opportunities, and innovations. When I was asked to informed and when I was requested to discuss on this topic, I was thinking that challenges, opportunities, and innovations, what organizations are going through today when we say challenges and opportunities. So organizations are going through a very turbulent situation today. If you see, there are a lot of challenges of attrition today, where at one side we say that there is no employment available in the country. However, if we see the attrition rates in the pharmaceutical industry, in the IT industry, in the BPO industry, in the manufacturing industry is going high. It means that people are getting better jobs in last couple of years. That is a observation. When we say challenges and opportunities, it will always talk about the threats. We already heard about the changing of business models and to become competitive in this coming year of 2022. Organizations are facing high performance workplace challenges today. I can give one quick example from our company, Novartis, where we are working for the manufacturing of drugs and vaccines. There was a lot of fear and anxiety on the shop floor when we were going during 2020 and 2021. There was a lot of anxiety and fear in the mind of the people. So it was the biggest challenge in front of us to how to keep motivated the people, the workers, the contract staff, the temporary staff, the migrant workers. How to keep them motivated was a big challenge which we thought, and we cope up with that with our robust and resilient human resource policies. A diverse workforce. You see, after 2020, there was a paradigm shift into the workforce because the need of the workforce management, the competency of the workforce have changed drastically because many of the migrant workers, many of the skilled workers, they have shifted to their native places. Just to give you one example, we have a patient support program. Novartis has a patient support program, and we go to the villages and we support to the villagers. We found that now we don't have enough competent manpower to go onto the ground and take this program ahead. So this is a biggest challenge which I could immediately address in this session. Organizations definitely wanted to be resilient. Resilience is the most important pillar of the sustainable development and innovation, as already addressed by Dr. Dhar. That resilience is a part of the innovation. Innovation management has another side of the coin, is always called as change management. Risk appetite techniques organization need to work upon, how to work on the risk framework, how to work on the people risk, how to work on the business risk, how to work on the business continuity risks, and how to work on the financial and reputation risk are the 5 important things which I would like to talk about the challenges and opportunities. The social media, the predictive analysis are also an important challenges and opportunity parameters and indicators where organizations have started working upon. As all of you are aware that since last 2 years, everybody is working from home, and we know what kind of challenges and opportunities are there. If we see today, when we took the survey in last month, we found that 80% people are now wanted to come back to the office, but 20% people still wanted to work from home. So that means there are certain challenges, but there are certain positive points wherein people would also like to keep the workplace at home. So we have taken a conscious decision to keep it voluntarily again until 31st of April 2022, and probably we will continue with that. When we talk about UK major audits, US FD audits, which we do, I'm in this field for more than 18 years now. You know, innovation when I was thinking that during the COVID times, how we will do the due diligence of our suppliers, of our stakeholders, and that was the biggest question mark in front of us. We all auditors were talking that how we will manage the HSE audits, health safety environment audits of the factory, sitting maybe 1,000 kilometers away from the factory. It is really difficult, but we did the innovation there, and we found the digital virtual audits, which we successfully completed. I definitely don't want to advocate that the visual inspection and digital inspection is quite different than doing the virtual audits. So virtual audits was one of the innovation which we did in the year 2022, 2020, and 2021. Let me tell you, friends, I never thought in my 17, 18 years of experience that I will be doing some human rights audit or some HSE audits, anti-bribery audit, or probably animal welfare audit virtually. And that was a task and innovation which we did completely. You see, today organizations are facing a big challenge and opportunity for the industry 4.0. I think all of us, we are aware what is industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is nothing but the IoT, Internet of Things, machine learning, and AI, artificial intelligence. There are a lot of challenges coming, a lot of skills are getting obsolete, but the new skills are coming, which are very, very demanding into the market. Now, organizations have also started thinking on how to cope up with the challenges and opportunities of Industry 5.0. Did you hear of this? Friends, Industry 5.0 is nothing but a human being working with robo in order to bring more effective and efficient output within the factories. And that is what organizations are now working. Innovation, the last word, the very important one. I think we spoke a lot about it. I will just say that when we do business excellence assessment and when we do HR excellence assessment, I always think that every organization or every person or every individual or every nation, there is an innovation. Now, there are two things. One important thing is that innovation by chance is we need to consider, and innovation in a structured way. I think Dr. Dhar, you address it very nicely, that how innovation are to be put into the structured framework. Just to give you a quick address here, that in Novartis, we do innovation management through on the basis of ISO 56000, that gives us a systematic approach to integrate innovation in all levels. So innovation, as all of you are aware, we already saw that innovation is coming through creativity is coming through brainstorming coming through idea generation, and that's the flow it goes about. Let us go to the point number 2, sustainable development. I think I heard Dr. Jain, you at the opening speech, you said about the definition of sustainable development very nicely. I was very happy to listen that. See, friends, sustainable development is nothing but the triple bottom line of the organization, which includes environmental, social, and financial aspects of the organization. Now, today in 2022, organizations and nations are also working about the political violence as one of the important pillar apart from these 3 pillars. Organizations have a lot of risk management and a lot of management systems for environmental management system. Organizations have social management system like SA8000, and organizations have risk management, corporate governance. Governance is nothing but, as you know, authority and control, emerging trade of the accounting, and all other things are there. The political violence is the most important pillar, which is going to override these 3 pillars probably in next few years. Just to give an example, last couple of days before, we saw what is happening in the Russia-Ukraine war. Does it not going to impact directly, adversely and directly onto the sustainable development of a company, of individual, as well as to the nations. So this is also an important factor which I would like to address here. As an ORTs, when we thought, I'm going to the point number 3, how to manage the innovation, because we thought innovation is happening through at factory, innovation is happening at packing bed, innovation is happening at, we are using robots for our formulations, we are using robots for our API plants where a lot of infection is possible. So that is also an innovation. So giving this instruction to the robot is also an innovation which we found. But then we came up with the theme, and we call that theme now as in order to integrate, like I said, based on the ISO 56000, we came up with the statement where we call a choice with responsibility. And we have given this a very thoughtful and mindful brand or statement. And anywhere an artist person, you will find he has been given a freedom and empowerment to do the innovation, but keep in mind choice with responsibility with 5 pillars. First is knowledge sharing. Second is services. Third is people. Fourth is news, and fifth is social. So I will quickly tell in 1 minute what are those. Knowledge sharing. We have a lot of knowledge today, and how to use this knowledge for the innovation, for the progressive innovation in future for the organization is also very important. Services which we give are for the life-saving drugs and for the people. So we cannot afford to have a simple mistake or a lethargy in our services. How can we bring more innovations into that area is also one of the excellence, operational excellence which we did. I can give one example there. We have started giving the freedom to the people from working from home. We are also coming up with the new service lines, and we have also started working on the mergers and acquisitions with our CMOs, contract manufacturing organizations. People-based innovation. I will give one case study on that. That will be very, very interesting to hear in this conference. News. The news is the most important indicator which we found for the innovation management, because you see there are a lot of news coming inside the Yammer, inside the mail, on WhatsApp and Twitter and everywhere. So how to use and manage and control? Like again, I want to go back with the Dr. Dhur's speech. He made it very specifically how to control the innovations. So the innovations, control of innovations can be done through these 5 pillars, and of course the social media. Last case study I would like to put in front of you based on the considering the time. Post COVID-19, we did one exercise on innovation management. We did the brainstorming, and we found certain outputs which I will be showing in my last slide. We did not go through the conventional style of questionnaire and those checklists and surveys and doing those Google search and document review. That we didn't do. We took some different approach. We took some people-based risk approach, and that really worked. We saw what are the technical risks, how the analytical processes can be improved, and that's what we did in this 2021 innovation management system. And then we also reflect through the barriers, because it is very important when there is innovation, and if there are some barriers, how can you reflect from those barriers, and we learn from that. And then the new ways of solving the problems was also one of the important area where we work upon. The focus on threats and also the important thing. The risk identification process was completely revamped by our organization. Earlier we were calling it as third-party risk management. Now we are calling it as an external party risk management. The risk response development. I think in our earlier session, we heard from our chief guest that how the risk response development can be improved in order to keep the innovation management intact, and that's what we did. And last, innovative risk response planning, actual innovation, minimizing learning. So what we have decided as an organization, that we will see what are the impacts of the actual innovations and do the less learnings on the innovation management. So these are the important things which we did. We took the visualization approach. We took the appreciating inquiry approach, wherein leaders, the top leaders, will be also involved in this process. We use a lot of technology. We are using now bot. We are using artificial intelligence. We have a separate team who is working on that, and also we worked on the instructive conversation. We took five projects. One project was on the behavioral drivers. Second project was on the mess up work for all our associates, and that worked really well. Then third one, we worked on social media homepage. Fourth one project was on social contract, that is ways of working, because during COVID times everybody had different ways of working, and we brought some innovation through that, and a different conversation. That was the last project which we took. All these projects we took short-term projects. Those projects were around 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and we have given all the freedom to our associates to drive those projects. Now the last slide, which is talking about what were the outcomes of these innovations which we did on the people based, like I said, people based innovation. The first which we found is the psychological danger. I already said at the beginning that 2019 and 20 we had a lot of fear, anxiety onto the shop floor. We did a lot of innovation on that, and then we found that there is a psychological danger in the mind of the people, as well as into the relatives and the families of the people. So fear of admitting mistakes was one of the aspects which came out. Blaming others was another aspect which we found. Sharing different views. We change our values, and we add in our values. One of the important values is now courage. Another important value we change is called as unbossed culture. So that's what we brought. We made the change in the 2021, because people were a little afraid, or probably they may be more anxious. Maybe they may be thinking that it may affect on my job, or probably my supervisor or my manager may give some adverse performance rating at the end of the year, and that's why we change our values. So sharing different views came forward. Common knowledge effect. We have, of course, the knowledge management platform. Psychological safety. I'm sure, being you are all HR experts and in the learning fraternity, you know that psychological safety is a very big topic, and everywhere if we see across the world, there have been a lot of issues of domestic violence and people having some erratic behavior or change in pattern of behavior was also observed very meticulously. But I would personally say, if you see, I have written there emotional awareness. So instead of saying psychological safety, I myself believe to saying as a emotional awareness, and that's what we did. So from that we had outcome of comfort in admitting mistakes. Now people are, our juniors are coming and telling us, sir, this is what has happened. I did that. I went to the site, but this is what I have seen. And they are, coming forward with the open mind. Learning from failures is also a very important thing which we found in the virtual audits. Because I already mentioned, it was really innovation to do virtual audits for health, safety, environment of the factory. We did the virtual tour through the camera, and that was the most difficult task, and the innovation which we did in the year 2021. Share openly the ideas and better decision making. These were the outcomes of our innovations. So with this, I would like to again thank you, all of you, for giving me this opportunity. It is really wonderful to be with all of you and share my thoughts. Once again, I wish all the best to all of you for this session and for the conference. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your knowledge. We are highly delighted, and you have successfully highlighted the values, emotional awareness, and you have given the virtual tour of virtual audit to us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Our next speaker for this session is Dr. Amit Roy. He is a professional with rich media experience of 21 years in sales, revenue, and market share growth. His core competencies are business expansion, team management, training, client servicing, and marketing. Dr. Amit Roy worked with various renowned organizations like Reliance Media World Limited, 92.7 Big FM, Dainik Bhaskar, and Indore M94.3 My FM, to name a few. Under his inspiring leadership, Indore got the Gold Award for Best Station, and it was the first station to explore barter deal nationally. Dr. Roy has also received Silver Award for Market Development and Client Retention. So I welcome you, sir, to the session, and I invite you for the address.
Well, good afternoon, all. And thanks, Dr. Dani, for the wonderful introduction. Today, we got a lot of insights from the speakers like Mr. Rajan Datta, Mr. Kamath, and Dr. Dhar for the topic like management innovation, opportunities and challenges for sustainable development. I must congratulate the convener of the conference, Dr. Ma'am Santosh Dhar, for choosing a very relevant theme in the era of creative destruction. In creative destruction, the waves of innovation makes the previous business model obsolete and forces everyone and everything to innovate. And the transformation is drastic. We all would agree that importance of innovation cannot be neglected, especially in the VUCA world. And it is not only about the imagination and filling the gaps, but also implementing the ideas. Innovation is very crucial as it drives business growth and help organizations stay ahead of the competition. Without innovation, a lot of companies you must have seen like Nokia, Orkut, Blackberries, Ambassador cars, and there are a lot of examples who have fallen behind and are out of market right now. So the message, before I start, the message of the day is if you lag behind, you will be left behind. So what actually is how creative destruction and innovation are linked? Creative destruction is a continuing product and process innovation mechanism by which new production unit replaces outdated ones. In the morning session, Dr. Upinder Dhar also explained about the Netflix effect, and the same I would like to explain what was Netflix effect actually, since I belong to media fraternity. Netflix was launched in 1996 with a simple idea of renting the DVDs by internet. People used to place order in the internet and it was mailed to the customers. In 2006, slowly and gradually, they came to streaming service only in US. And right now in 2022, if you know, they have 220 million subscribers across the world. And in India also, in the COVID era, Netflix, I think all must be aware of what OTT has done to cable TVs and satellite TVs. But this doesn't mean that every innovation is creative destruction. So there are basically three types of innovation method which I would like to highlight. The first one is incremental. Incremental innovation is improving the current product and services or process or methods. I would like to give few examples like Gillette blades. You all have heard of Gillette blades. They started with a single blade concept and now they are having the 6-blade concept. The latest is 6-blade razors. Expansion of TV channels like Z Entertainment was the first channel. They came with Z Entertainment, but now they have Z Marathi, Z Bengali, Z Kannada. So they have gone to different places as an incremental innovation. Secondly is the breakthrough innovation, in which technological advancement is there and which boosts the level of product or service within an existing category, and which put them ahead of its competitors. For example, everybody knows mobile phone, but iPhone was a breakthrough innovation as it changed the world. The mobile phones were used. The fitness watches. Now everyone, either you or the old age citizens are using these smartwatches. News apps, which was not there 1 decade ago, but every newspaper has launched their news app, so you can access the news instantly anywhere and anytime. Analog to digital, colored, black and white to color TV, and there are a lot of examples. Disruptive is something which radically changed the market behavior after being implemented. The classic example of disruptive innovation can be Uber. Uber or Ola, all must have used it. Again, the Netflix OTT platforms, Spotify, the music streaming apps, and all the Amazons of the world, Big Basket, etc. But innovation needs to be administered in a way so that it benefits the people at large. So, what is the role of innovation in sustainability? Innovation is any organization procedure starting at the initial stage of ideation to the final stage of implementation. No innovation is successful without implementation or without ideation. So both has to be a mix of ideation and implementation. And if we blend sustainability into that, then it will be a process that is good for both society and the organization. If some innovation is having no sustainability, then it is not going to work and it will be rejected by the society very soon. Now, since I belong to media fraternity, I would like to put my comments on what media innovation is actually. Media innovation is revolves around various aspects of the media landscape, from the development of new media platforms. Like initially, if you know, there were only Doordarshan and newspapers to access the news, but now there are a lot of new media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, social media, news app, etc. To the new business models like cable to satellite, satellite to OTT, to new ways of producing media texts. You all have heard the 4 P's in marketing, but there's also 4 P's and 1 S in innovation, which is product, process, position, paradigmatic, and social. So what is product innovation is? Product innovation is the improvement in the current product, which is already offered to the user. For example, iPads, all must be having laptops, but iPad was a new product innovation which was brought in the market. Smartphones, web TV, Wikipedia, or media apps for tablet. You must have had the Kindle right now, which has changed the way the traditional book reading habits of the people, and now people are going to digital reading habit in Kindle. Process innovation it refers to changes in the way in which product services are created and delivered. The best examples are the news app. You don't have to wait for the morning time or for the news time to access the news. It is immediately available in your mobiles now, and social media too. Third P is the position innovation, how the product and services are positioned within a particular segment. The best example I can give you is the 2 radio stations which exist in Indore, that is Big FM and Red FM. Big FM have completely positioned themselves as a mature radio station and they focus on a TG 35 plus. And on the other hand, Red FM is totally focused on the youth, which is 15 to 35. So they have defined their positioning in the market. 4th P is paradigmatic, or paradigmatic is paradigm shift, which includes organizations' mindset, values, and business model, which changes. For example, CDs to DVDs to Blu-rays to the streaming service, cable TV to OTT. Now nobody goes, grocery buying is a new thing in the society. So everybody going for Amazon and big baskets for the grocery and vegetables buy. Social innovation is it meets social needs and improves people's lives. For example, no social cause can be highlighted until and unless it is taken by the media houses. Any social cause which is backed by government, like literacy mission or Swachhata Abhiyan or Beti Bachao, cancer, anything, it is highlighted by media houses, and thus it is important for the social innovation. But sustainable development is the key to success today. With the rapid innovation in the communication technology, its ease of accessibility, There's a significant change in the role and operation and practices of new media and news professionals in the last decade. So how media can act as a catalyst in achieving sustainable development goals. As you all know, media is called the fourth pillar of democracy, and it plays a crucial role in educating and providing knowledge, conscious awareness to the society. Sustainability issues like climate change, poverty, ecosystem, environmental protection, inequality, and economic development, they all are backed by media support. So media is playing a very important role in achieving SDGs by different ideas, gimmicks, innovation tricks, in taking consideration of the positive receptivity of the public is very significant. One classic example was NDTV Toyota A Green campaign, which was launched in 2008. And it was the first media-backed social cause with the help of Toyota as a sponsor to save the environment, which created awareness involving people to make a difference. And what is the role of media? It is basically to bridge the gap between the private and the public worlds. These are the 17 global SDGs which I have mentioned here. It was decided under the auspices of the United Nations. The 17 SDGs were endorsed by 193 countries in 2015, and they all agreed to achieve by 2030. India is also one of the countries in that. And media will play a very important role in aligning with 5 pillars of SDG, which are people, prosperity, planet, peace, and partnership. Now, there are few challenges when media act as a catalyst to the SDGs. There are few challenges also from the media fraternity. Now, there are a lot of news channels, social media news are coming. So the detailed understanding of the SDGs often deters journalists from relating their reporting on development issues to the SDGs. They are not so mature to highlight the SDGs issues properly to the viewers. Biased and malignant presentation of the facts related to SDGs under political and social pressure, which is very obvious in today's scenario. And the media coverage of the SDGs rarely reflect the impact of SDG on the lives of common citizens. So as rightly said, the media are not the holders of power, but they constitute by and large the space where power is decided. So this is all I would like to say about role of media in achieving the sustainable goals. And thanks for a patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insight, thoughts, and thank you for highlighting the importance of media in SDGs. So we are happy to have you as a speaker, and it has given a lot of knowledge to all of us. Our next speaker for this session is Dr. Parul Parmar. She is having 22 years of industrial experience in various sectors like management consultancy, pharmaceuticals, IT, retail, telecom, and agriculture. Her top skills are employee engagement, talent acquisition, and performance management. She has certification and she is certified as software quality analyst, certified as Six Sigma Green Belt by TCS, certified compensation and benefits manager by Middle Earth HR, certified HR analytics and metric professional by Middle Earth HR. She has also worked with Reliance Communication, Reliance Retail, Bharti Airtel Limited, A&M Strategic and Management Consultants Private Limited, and Tata Consultancy Services. Coming to her achievement, she has received a Star of Month, Star of the Quarter entitlements, HR Best Performer Trophy, and Six Sigma project on reduction of employee attrition. Dr. Parul has done PhD in Technology Adoption from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, MMS from KG Somaiya Institute of Management Studies and Research. She has completed her graduation in pharmacy from CU Shah College of Pharmacy. I once again welcome you, ma'am, and I request you to please address the audience.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'll just share my PPT. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya administration for giving me this opportunity, and a special mention to Dr. Rishi Roy for coordinating it so well. And this is one of my favorite topic. As you have already read my profile, I have a separate soft corner for technological innovations and technology. And also in today's VUCA world, this becomes a very, very mandatory thing, innovations. And we are being forced to innovate even if we do not have those agendas. So this is a topic, which is a much, much relevant topic in today's context. I will not dwell much upon the concept and all that because all the previous eminent speakers have already covered the same. But just giving my one bit of it, MIT defines innovation as the idea taken right from inception to impact. How we are developing that idea so that it is taken to the area where the organization is intending that impact to happen. Now, that impact area may be different for different organizations. It may be for some organization, it may be organizational growth. For some, it may be customer base. For some, it may have social agenda, environmental agenda, or for some, it may be purely profitability. So for this impact to happen, we have already covered this, that these are some of the necessary elements that has to be in place, like skills, culture, the mindset, the strategies. And with the presence of all these elements, the ideas generated gets translated into innovations. And innovations, again, if we have to classify, could be product innovation, process innovation, structural innovations, customer growth innovation. So this is we have already covered this in detail. I will now make it short on the concept and give more of a practical application in our industry. So let me introduce you to our company, VNR Seeds. We are basically a leading vegetable and field crop company. We also have fruit crops, but majorly we are into vegetable and field crops. So this is the gist of what we are. We have around 23 crops, in which we are present with more than 300 varieties. And we are a research-based organization. And we are very proud that every year we are releasing new varieties of crops at the rate of 15 varieties, which is a very, very good number. We are present in 26 states. We are exporting our seeds to more than 10 countries, and this is still going to increase. In many countries, our crops are still in a trial stage, and once the trial results come, we will be starting our exports over there. We have more than 9 notified varieties, and infrastructure-wise, we have world-class facilities. If we talk about innovation in our industry, it is majorly affecting the consumer, and the consumer for us is farmer. So we are a trustworthy brand among the farmer community. Our mantra is "Kisano ke hit mein" or in the interest of farmers. So keeping this in mind, all our innovation-led experiments or processes are, focusing on the farmers, their interest, the output which will benefit the farmers. So we are ranked number 5 in hybrid paddy business. We are amongst top 6 vegetable companies. And as I said, let us understand what this research, how are we equipped, in our research innovation. So we have a history of, more than 50 years of research, where our founder had started researching on good varieties, on good quality seeds for farmers long back. So we have a very, very big history of research. And today we are reaping the benefits of that research, with so many varieties being released every year. So we have a strong research base built on science, innovation, and technology. We have a rich germplasm pool, which is nothing but the parental lines through which we cross them and create the hybrid seeds. We have latest breeding techniques in place. We collaborate with many research institutes, national and international level, which helps us in building our germplasm, which helps us in getting knowledge of the latest technologies, which helps us in developing these hybrids. We have a highly qualified scientist team, well-equipped research laboratory. We have technological support, which helps these breeding programs. And we have high investment in our research and development activities. For any seed company or any in this industry, it is very, very essential that a lot of focus is given on research, that we are investing so that we are coming out with new varieties, launching them to meet the problem areas of the farmers. Now, to understand it better, I have put this across that all the breeding programs, the innovation that goes into the breeding programs is for the crop protection as well as for coming up with the new seed varieties. And why is it necessary? These are the five major areas where farmers face a lot of problems. One is environmental stress. We all know that the weather conditions have a major impact on the outcome or the crop productivity, the crop yield for farmers. Storm, hailstorms, wind, climatic condition change, too much cold, too much heat, droughts, famine. So these are the environmental stress, and it has a huge impact on the crop's productivity. Then disease, soil-borne disease, the virus, bacterial, fungal, pest resistance, productivity or the yield that is coming out, the nutritional value that the food product has. So these are the areas normally, the breeding programs are designed in a way that, it is meeting one of these objectives. So either the breeding program is for new seed preparation or for crop protection programs, that is managing any one of these areas. So as I already mentioned in my previous slide, that the organization has to be very clear about the agenda or the impact area where it wants to focus for the purpose of innovation. And for us, it is very clear that we are here for addressing the needs of the farmers, and therefore to identify that and give offerings which will meet those needs. So it is very important from that point of view. So in general, if I have to talk about our industry, we are responsible for the food supply and food security of the nation, because we provide quality seeds. Farmers grow those quality seeds, they get good yield. More the yield, more is the food reaching the people, because we have a limited land ratio. The land cannot be expanded, but what can be expanded is per acre productivity. So from that same land, how much more yield you can, and that is where the hybrid seeds that we produce comes into picture, which provides bountiful yield. And therefore, in a way, we are contributing towards the nation's food security and the food supply. So we have to ensure that there is a continuous innovation business model for the sustainability of the business, for ensuring that we are meeting those requirements of farmers. So it is important that we understand the customer needs. Now, I already showed that we are into 23 crops, but we have more than 300 varieties. So if we take one example of, say, chili. In chili, in some area of the part of India, you will need long chilies, light green color. In some part, it is small. Some part, it is round. In some part, they focus more on dry chilies. For some, it is green chilies. For some, it is purple color. So long, short, conical, So there are different varieties of chilies which are, consumed in different parts of India. So we have to locationally keep track of these different varieties and develop them and provide them. So it is a continuous innovation business model based on these requirements and needs of the farmers. And normally, to come up with a new variety or a new crop, it takes 10 to 12 years. So you can understand how difficult or how much of investment, time and effort is going into the breeding program. With the help of new innovation techniques and genetic engineering, we are trying to shorten these breeding cycles and ensure that we are able to release the varieties faster, and meet the requirements. There is a need for increased investments in innovations, as you can see that there's so much of focus. So maximum investments are planned, like even a major portion of our revenue percentage goes into investment, into research every year. So the crux is speed of product variety release, that is important for seed industry, and the technology interventions, which will help us, meet these requirements faster. So this is what will lead to the sustainable, innovative approach. This is the approach and sustainability, of business model that we are talking about. One more area where our company is, I can talk about proudly about the innovation. We, our flagship company, we are nursery. We are into horticulture. We provide planting materials, and we have provided farmers plants with grafted plants. And grafted plants is a boon for the farmers. Why? Because on grafting, we are providing farmers the opportunity to produce, to plant, take crops in areas where otherwise they couldn't be due to the biotic or the abiotic stress of that region. Like suppose in some region there are soil-bound disease and you cannot grow a particular crop. Through grafting, what happens is grafting is a technology where two different types of plants are clubbed together, so two different body parts. So you have a rootstock and you have a bud, style. So you sort of join them, and the rootstock is sustainable enough who can resist those diseases. And on top, you have the variety that you want and which gives a bountiful yield. So therefore, but with this technique, the farmers are able to take good produce of whatever types of crops that they want. So this is one innovative area. Another thing is we have, as you can see, some of the varieties that I've shown, we are into providing these unique products. I am sure many of you must have tasted these guavas, the huge large guavas, with which weighs around 500 grams to 800 grams per guava. It is sweet, crispy. It is less, more pulp, less seeds, with good, shelf life, transportability. So this has these kind of unique products which we have come out with has really helped the farmers. And these fruit orchards are now available in all the states. We have our websites where we share the growers details and the sellers details, and they can interact and they can purchase. So we have sort of by now sold more than 1 crore plants, all across India, and we are still going on. So this is another innovation, product innovation, I would say, that we are into. Uh, Product innovation, and that is a core for us because we are a research based, but definitely there are other processes where we need to innovate to support, these product innovations. So we have adopted many technologies, as you can see, the latest technologies of DNA fingerprinting, cryopreservation technique where, pollen grains are preserved in nitrogen, liquid nitrogen for their longevity. We have GPRS-based farm mapping measurements, GPS-based, field activity monitoring, where we capture the marketing activities. We have drone technology, which is used for pollination purpose, which helps save us on labor cost and improves the time period, shortens the time of pollination. A barcode tracking system for tracking the products for weighment purpose. Even for our campus recruitments, we use barcode, for job applications. We have SCADA-based world-class seed processing plants. We have automated all the HR processes. Few were remaining, but COVID forced us to even automate those processes like recruitment and interviewing. Those processes also got online now, onboarding. We have mobile-based HRMS, the ESS, we have ERPs. So we have technology in each and every department. You name it, and we are supported by technology, automations, softwares to speed up the process for accuracy, for more better work. I would say that innovations are two types. One is planned innovation, as we already all are talking about, where there are ideas generated and we take them in a planned way through a strategy to get it converted into some output. But there are also forced innovations, and COVID has is a very good example where all the businesses were forced to transform, and some of these transformations that we did during COVID were, we went into the work from home policy. We had to ensure that the data security was stepped up because there was a lot of data sharing, online working that was happening, a lot of automations of processes which otherwise were not. We went into digital marketing where we got in touch with our customers through WhatsApp groups, through YouTube videos, through other digital mechanisms. A lot of virtual engagement started happening. We loosened our travel policies and gave more benefits where, when we felt that it was unsafe for people to travel through trains, or we gave them permissions for private vehicles, for flights. So travel policies were changed. Health and well-being, we came up with COVID insurances, we medical assistance, all those things. Then attendance, thumb-based were converted into face reading machines, or the handheld apps were developed so that they could, based on geotagging from their location itself, they could punch in the attendance. We came up with special COVID leave. So these are the forced transformations due to the external factors. So as an organization, I would say that if we want to actually follow innovation, we have to be very agile and we have to be ready for any kind of transformation, and therefore we need those kind of skill sets and manpower and capabilities to be developed within the organization. So when we are talking about fostering innovation, we have to ensure that digitalization is the way forward and we cannot avoid it. But when we're talking about technology, processes, people, there has to be a proper harmony because each element is important. We forget at times, we lay too much importance on technology, and there is a fear psychosis within the people that our jobs will go away, but that is not so. They can be utilized in some other areas where technology is playing its role. So there has to be a proper harmony. As I said, digital dexterity has to be developed. People have to learn to adapt technologies because it is here to stay. Technology is not going away, and everybody has to adopt it. And an innovative learning culture has to develop, and the leadership style has to change. There is something, the concept of innovation leadership, where the leaders are changing their styles to, take that innovation forward, increase the creativity, and help the creativity to get converted into a new process or a practice. And also constantly keep benchmarking against industrial best practices for ensuring that you are not late in adapting the innovations or late in making those technological changes which are very much needed in your organization. So with this, I end the presentation with a short saying that there's a way to do it better, find it, by Thomas Edison, which is synonym to saying that you keep innovating. Continuous innovation is the crux, and you always will find a way to do it better, and we need just to find it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And we are happy to know about the innovations which you are carrying it in your organization.
Thank you.
We are so happy to know about it. Thank you for sharing the thoughts. And at last, I would like to thank all the panel speaker for their valuable time, and thank you for your wisdom, experience and presentation. And it would be pleasure for us to listen you again. So with this thing, we are ending the session now. I request the participant to join the technical sessions. And we will be meeting for the valedictory session at 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Parul ma'am. Thank you all the guest speakers. So now we can meet with the valedictory link, which is there in your mail at 4 o'clock. Thank you all. And I request participants to please join their technical sessions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.